Hi again, everyone. My name is Marie Fortes, and I am the director of the Practice Heroes at CareStack. We're happy for you to take part in our 10th series of Dinner with the Practice Heroes, Sunbit Now, Pay Over Time. On the panel tonight, we have a great lineup of guests. Joining us is Christy Chavarria. She's a practice hero as well as an office administrator for a large dental office in New York. We have Rachel Dunn. She's a patient relationship manager. I just love that, Rachel, by the way. At Dr. D. Brian Williams' office, and Robert Nunziato, head of inside sales and operations at Sunbit. So our panelists tonight will share with you how to get your patients to say yes and start treatment today. So our goal tonight is that you will come away with an understanding, knowledge, and pearls of wisdom, if you will, that you can apply to be more successful in your business. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce Christy Chavarria, Rachel Dunn, and Robert Nunziato. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Maria.
Thanks. Thank you. Maria, I appreciate you having us on and letting us, or giving me a chance to talk about Sunbit's Smile Now Pay Over Time solution. I know the panelists are using this product and have had experience with it, but before we start talking about it, maybe I can just introduce the concept of it and give a little bit of background on what we're doing, if that works. Smile Now Pay Over Time is probably something that most of the people listening haven't heard about before. Most people are probably familiar with traditional financing, patient financing. We're trying to do things a little bit differently, a little bit more accessibly, to reduce the friction at checkout in the office and help more patients get access to good dental care. Now, I'll give a quick overview on who we are as a business, just to give background and let everyone know who, what our mission is and what we're trying to do. Our belief is that we're trying to transform the way people pay. We want to help people smile now, pay over time. But what that really means is, we were talking about it ahead of time, but our belief is when the sun shines, it shines on everybody. When someone needs to get dental care, everyone deserves it. If you need to take care of your oral health. Now, we were founded as a company in 2015. Our offices are based in Los Angeles, but we have people across the country, and we're working with over 12,000 businesses nationwide, not exclusively. Yeah, and it's a lot, and we've been growing fast. So we're a young company, but that growth to me indicates that we're starting to, hit on something that people really need, and also the offices that we work with have been missing out on, and not just offices, but also car dealerships on the service side. We're trying to work with essential businesses where if something breaks down, like your car, and you need to get to work, it's something that you need, not just one. The reason we focus on essential businesses, we understand there's a need in a lot of industries. And before we talk about dental specifically, I'll just talk about something that's true across the United States. 40% of Americans don't have access to $400 to spend in the case of emergency. I'll repeat that stat, it's on the screen, but 40% of Americans don't have $400 to cover an emergency. So, and that's not a COVID statistic. That was true 2 years ago. If anything, cost of gas, everything that's happened in the last 2 years, it's been probably exacerbated by everything that's going on. Now, in parallel, and the experts are on the call, but the industry average dental treatment cost out of pocket over the course of the year is $1,200. So when we look at these two numbers next to each other, I think it becomes pretty clear that there's a discrepancy, there's a challenge that most offices and patients face when it comes to presenting dental treatment and making sure many people can take care of their dental work. And even if I have that $400, $1,200 out of pocket isn't an obvious cost that most people can comfortably cover. Now, many offices are already offering something called traditional financing. Different companies exist for that, but it's not fitting the bill for many of those cases. And I'll try and explain why in kind of broad strokes, and maybe the panelists can also chime in on their experience with it. But historically, traditional financing looks like this. It's a 15-minute application that takes place on a paper form in which the patient is asked, do you rent, do you buy, what's your social security number? You can see all the questions and answers that they have to give. Now, even after filling out that application, 60% of patients don't get approved. So most people who fill out all that paperwork are still being declined. And even more people who might need the help have done this before and don't bother to apply because they understand what the experience looks like and understand that they're probably not going to get approved. And as a result, fewer patients than ever get offered this. Because if I work in an office, I understand what this process looks like, and I don't want to put someone through it. And by the way, there's something else that happens if I go through this for most of these applications. My credit score is going to get hit with a hard credit check, which I don't want either. Especially if I'm going to get declined, there's no reason to be kicked while I'm down. Now, all of these things are trying to solve for the same thing. The case acceptance in many offices falls below 50%, meaning less than 5 in 10 patients who are presented with a treatment actually take the treatment. I've heard as high as 3 in 4 new patients presented with treatment decline treatment. So we understand that traditional financing, or as I understand it, traditional financing doesn't solve for a lot of cases. I'd love to ask the panel if this has been your experience or if you have anything to add here.
I can say with us, Robert, that since we started Sunbit in our office, which I think it's been about 7 months now, that's been a huge part that we've been able to grasp, is people who couldn't get approved on the traditional financing, because you guys do approve under a certain FICO score. So it's been really big for us, because we were doing another third party where it was monthly payments that we were waiting for the patient to pay us. But with Sunbit, you guys pay us right away. So we've been able to grasp a lot of that stuff, and it's made a really big difference with us. So that's definitely the ones, like you're saying here, that get denied because of their score isn't high enough. At least with you guys, you are going to give them some type of finance. So
appreciate it.
Robert, we've had the same at my office that Christy's had. We've had just a great, return on investment with people that normally would not get approved and normally would not follow with treatment, same day treatment, that have applied for the application. It's quick, it's easy, it's in the office, and on the spot received approval. And I love seeing them leave happy because they were able to get treatment. And that means so much. I know, Sunbit has a really big philosophy of trying to make it available, treatment available, and access for everyone. And that is something special and near and dear to my own heart. And I think that that's one of the best things about it, is there's an 85% approval rate. It's a quick 3-minute application, and the FICO scores 500 and usually get accepted. And that's been a huge thing for our practice too. We're newer to Sunbit, utilizing Sunbit for 2 months. And so we've seen a lot of patients that have been able to follow through with care because of that.
I think that's really important when you're talking about treatment that needs to be done, obviously, is for all their oral health, whole body, right? And that it's such an easy process that it takes, if I were you, if it was me, the traditional financing, which I've done in the past, took a lot of time. And some of our patients, if you will, in some of our practices, they're very mature, and it was just too overwhelming for them. So, we make it easy for our patients so that they can get the care that they need. It's great.
Exactly.
I love hearing those stories. And I guess what I'd love to do is maybe show what this product that we're all talking about that's different than this looks like. That's the Sunbit product. And I'm biased, but I'm glad you guys can speak to the success you're having. I love hearing stories like that. We all do here at Sunbit. We've built a tablet-based solution to help patients and also help the treatment coordinator. So since technology is not always easy, or what I've done is I've recorded a video of me showing how our product works. Now watching this for me is going to be weird, but I'm going to play the video anyway, and I'll kind of shut up and fade to the background and let you guys see how the product works, brought to you by me. So I'm going to show you how the Sunbit product works. I'm going to connect my tablet, because that's what we've built. We've built a tool in the form of a tablet that an office member, a staff member can put in their hands and help with the patient. Now, I'm going to be the treatment coordinator today. Let me be Beyonce. I keep hearing I look like Beyonce, so that's who I'm going to be today. I click scan card now, and on my tablet, I'm going to ask the patient for their ID, and I just scan the barcode on the back of any state issued ID. Barcode is scanned. The patient is going to confirm their phone number and email. Their address is pulled right off of their ID. They click agree and check their options. And just like that, the patient is approved. This patient has been approved for $4,100. Now that was the real application. I talked fast, but it took me less than 30 seconds to go through the application. It didn't impact my credit score. We never do a hard credit check. And we approve every single patient above 500 FICO. Now let me explain what that means in better detail, and I'll show you a slide, but we approve more than 85% of patients. That's a high approval rate, which removes some of the risk that your staff feels when they're worried about whether they can put someone through an application, they'll feel more confident with this, knowing they'll be approved. Now, let me take it one step further. Let's say we're looking at a $2,000 treatment. We type that into the tablet, click continue, and the patient is presented with a payment plan. Now, this patient's getting 0% interest on 6 and 12 months. That's an offer that matches any traditional financing offering for those patients, qualified patients. Now, instead of $2,000 today, Mr. Patient, what Sunbit's going to do is we're going to give you the option to pay in 6, 12, or 18 monthly installments. For larger dollar amounts, we'll have longer timelines as well. On 6 and 12 months, this patient has no interest, so they're still paying the same amount they would have. They just get more time to pay it off. 6 monthly payments of $333 or 12 monthly payments of $166 for a $1 down payment. At the 18-month mark, we see that the payments become $124. That includes interest. This is an interest-bearing option on 18 months of $14.99. Now, if I'm like most of my patients, I can't do the math in my head here. $14.99 in interest on $2,000. What I do understand, however, is $13.64 a month. It's a couple cups of coffee, $245 over the course of a year and a half, but I get my dental work done today. The practice gets paid the next day, less small transaction fees, and no one holds the risk except for Sunbit. So we're responsible for all of it. The patient doesn't have to worry about late fees, prepayment fees, deferred interest. None of that exists in the practice. Doesn't worry about chargebacks or anything like that either. Sunbit takes the risk and the practice gets paid. So thanks for bearing with me as I watched so I'm going to show you how the Sunbit product works.
So
I make you watch twice.
Yeah, we actually just got a question. What is the percentage of patients who are rejected have a credit score too low to be accepted?
Yeah, fantastic question. So I'll answer that. I've got that. I appreciate when people lead me into the next slide. So I think to start, you just watched the application, and I think watching it, we can agree on two things. One, it was fast. It's a 30-second approval process. The second thing we can agree on is that I do look like Beyonce. The next thing that you didn't see happening, but behind the scenes is true. We didn't do a hard credit check. We never will. So we don't do a hard credit check at the application or at checkout. And then the third thing, and this addresses the question, we approve over 85% of patients. Every single patient above 500 FICO is going to be approved. So that's 200% more patients than get approved with other financing applications. And you know, that's consistent across our 12,000 merchant base in dental and other industries. It's 85% or higher approval rate.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I'd be curious. I mean, you know, I just showed, you know, a video of the product, but you know, this is in the offices. You know, Rachel and Christy, these are in your offices, right? So, have you found this to be as fast and easy as that application? And do you have any stories of patients going through the process?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's definitely. Go ahead, Rachel.
No, you go ahead, Christy.
Well, I was just going to say, yes, it is. It's that quick. It's that simple. Patients really appreciate that it's just a soft credit check. You know, that's huge to a lot of people because they don't want it to hit their credit. It's my understanding, I'm pretty sure too, because I'm asked this question, that you guys do report to the credit bureaus that they're making payments, correct?
That's correct. So theoretically,
yeah,
it could, if their payments are made on time. Exactly.
Right, exactly. And the tablet is very simple. It's convenient. You know, they just verify their identity like you talked about. Some elderly people, you know, they struggle a little bit at times, but we just walk them through it and they're comfortable and it's very simple. So yes, it works really well.
Sunbit has done a fabulous job of giving and providing all of the marketing materials, including the tablet or the little iPad that's sent to the offices, and it's seamless. I mean, our patients absolutely, we've had a great response from our patients. And, you know, I think body language is everything with patients. You can read who is accepting and who is not, but I think mentioning it to all patients is so valuable and worthy. And to see them light up when you tell them all those fast facts of, hey, it's a quick process. We're literally going to do it right here on the spot. You know, 30-second quick approval rate, 85% approval rate, a quick process. And then I think too, another thing to mention is just people like what you were saying, Christy, people who may struggle with technology and trying to get, you know, not have access to it at home, having it right there in the office, the convenience factor has been huge for us. And it really encourages patients to go ahead and proceed with same-day treatment, encourages patients to remember that their health is important and that they can actually follow through with the care that they really need.
Right.
Exactly. I've even had instances where maybe I have someone come in and their credit score is not that great and they're sitting there and they're swollen, you know, and they need just an extraction, and they're amazed that they can, even if it's only a few $100s, you know, they still got approved, and it made a huge difference. And they were hesitant about their credit score, you know, and we would still run it, and they got approved, and they got, you know, to get that taken care of. So that's been really huge too, even on this, you know, the smaller scale of treatment. It makes a big difference. Yes.
I think the key word here too is that it's not only is it fast and quick, it doesn't give that patient a lot of angst in the chairs, like, how do I pay for this? Especially like for emergencies or treatment that really needs to be done. But also the fact that it is a soft credit check. It's not like a hard credit check, right? So that kind of alleviates, like, okay, I'm not going to have this ding against my credit, because even though, let's say they have good credit and it's a hard credit check, it does go against them, you know. So I think having that soft credit check is helpful. What do y'all think?
Agreed.
It's interesting when you first mention we have, you know, pay over time options. Let me tell you about our amazing one, Sunbit. And then, you know, they kind of like, no, they kind of start shaking their head. No, I'm not interested in pay over time options. And then you start mentioning all of the facts: 85% approval rate, soft credit check, you know, FICO score 500. They're like, oh, okay, I'll do that right now. They completely change their attitude and their time. And then, you know, it goes so quickly. And then, like, you know, like Christy and I've said, it really is helpful to have that easy process. You saw Robert's video of how easy it is to walk through, and then they get, you know, the specifics of their monthly payment breakdowns and what, you know, exactly what they're going to do next. And they don't feel like the financial part of it, that's always stressful in any practice, is the number one riding factor. It's like, okay, now I can take care of my health and get this treatment today and move forward.
I love hearing stories about the body language of patients changing. And I think everything that you just touched on, it emphasizes that so many people who come into a practice, especially the people who are below 680 FICO, where traditionally you know, people have credit cards, have been through the ringer with financial applications. They understand that their credit score is not good, because that has an impact in so many areas of your life. So this is a game changer for them, and it's also a relief. You know, and you can feel it in their body language and the way they communicate before and after. So I love hearing stories like that. I also I don't want to lose that fact that in all of this, what it also does for the office is good, right? So if I'm the treatment coordinator, I'm more inclined to offer it because I know those things. And in parallel, you know, if I'm running the office, I understand that this is also going to become something that generates new production. So I'll share a couple of case studies from offices that are using it. One, I think, you know, this is Chris, who's the regional manager of Dynamic Dental, which is based in the Carolinas. They have 4 offices. Across their 4 offices, they brought Sunbit in on all of them. And in their first month, they saw or first 60 days rather, they saw over a 94% approval rate across the 4 offices. What I really like about this, and I can talk about the numbers, in this one office, Dolphin Drive, one of their 4, they did $15,000 in June alone. You know, right after launching, they had an 86% approval rate, and the average purchase was $1,400. But what I think speaks, you know, more to the success here is that Chris has been in the industry for over 25 years. She's used all of the patient financing solutions that you can think of. She's seen the upside, the downside, and for her, this was the difference maker. This was the one that actually did all the things that she needed and felt good offering it, and her staff felt good offering it. So I get excited when I hear testimonials from people who, you know, understand the patient side and also understand the office side and get excited about what we're doing. And I also get excited that it turns into revenue for the practice. I can share another, you know, testimonial or quote and case study from a larger DSO. It's a 7-location DSO in Florida, Alpha Dental. Tim's the CEO. He saw this filling a void that just wasn't covered with other financing options. In their first 4 months across those 7 offices, they did $1 million in new business, and they treated 902 patients. they were able to do that because of the higher approval rate, 87% of patients. Historically with other financing, with their old financing that only approved, 30, 40% of patients, they would have lost 400 or 500 patients that wouldn't have gotten treatment. And that's not just for that one case, but that's potentially for life. They don't have that patient. So they were excited about it. We're excited to be able to help them. And I think sometimes the proof is in the numbers, not just in the fancy technology.
I was just going to say that the proof is in the numbers, most definitely. Yeah.
I don't know how, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we talked a lot about this, when we were chatting earlier, and just how well Sunbit fits all practice types, not just smaller practices, not practices that are generating, smaller numbers, but also high production costs and large volumes of people, and practices that have fee for service, and how those patients, especially if they receive that information ahead of time, if you can communicate that information through a text message or an email prior to their treatment, they can come prepared, and it saves time on the back end. So it's just completely changing production altogether for the office. It's making everything more efficient and effective. It's communicating, well in advance and also in the office. So there's lots of ways in which it helps practices, and I just wanted to mention that it is for everybody. It's not just for one type of office.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it seems like obviously you all, but also the audience, given the question about approval rates, are relatively savvy in terms of financing and, patient credit spectrum and all of that. So what I'd love to do is give just kind of a breakdown of exactly what I mean when I say we approve everyone above 500 FICO, and specifically where that differs. I think maybe that'll help, and also visually lay it out. So again, I'll bucket all traditional financing into the same bucket, because you have different kinds, whether it's paper forms or online, but most of them are different flavors of the same thing. They approve 4 out of 10 patients. Basically, the cutoff is 680 FICO, and that's prime or subprime is the kind of other terminology you might have heard. It's the same people who have a credit card in their pocket effectively. And those patients get approved for traditional financing, 4 out of 10 patients between 0 and 30% APR. That means 6 out of 10 people get declined. So, and we've kind of covered that, but that's the 60% decline rate. When we looked at this, we understood that we needed to build a solution that approved more people, because if I feel that I'm only going to get 4 out of 10 people leaving happily, I don't feel good offering it. So we built the application that approves everyone above 500 FICO. The other thing that was important to do was make sure that the interest rates for the patients that we're approving are fair. Because there's another kind of financing that you won't find in most dental offices, but you will find in other areas of life, called predatory financing, that will approve these people, but they won't give them a good rate. So what we did was we looked at the interest rate, and based off of state maximums, our max interest was $35.99 for the patient. That's for a 500 FICO patient. Now, if you look at traditional financing, the max interest is usually around 30% APR, and that's for a 680 FICO patient. Now, we'll match those rates, and we'll always give a good or better rate to the same patients. But if you think about it, 500 FICO patient who normally wouldn't be approved for anything, getting a rate that's not dissimilar to what a 680 FICO patient would get with traditional financing. One, this patient's going to be excited, and two, you and also we feel very good about that interest rate, because it's something that's helping them and is fair. The other thing to keep in mind, I think a lot of people, if you're not familiar with this type of interest rate, these aren't mortgages on a home. It's a short-term loan on a relatively small dollar amount. So it's not, it's not a 3% type of interest on purchasing a home. It's, it's $35.99 on $1,000. It costs 6-12 months. We're talking about $5, $6, $10 a month, not, tens of thousands. So simple, transparent interest rates at fair cost. That's what we're trying to do. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the reactions from your patients looking at the interest, but we try and break it down in a way that makes it easy for them to understand and see and understand.
No, it is. It's really helpful. The way you were showing prior, where it breaks it down monthly, what the interest would be, it's easier for them to understand it, take it in on what they're going to be paying. And then, when you have the dollar down payment, a lot of times you guys only require $1. And they kind of look at me and go, why $1? And I just said, well, this is just their way to establish a relationship with your account. They need to get it set up. And so then they're going to take your monthly payments out. So It breaks it down. They like the way they break it down, and give them the monthly options. It's simple for them to read and understand. And it shows the interest rate right there, and you have your options with it. So,
I'll break this down, or I'll boil this down to kind of the bottom line, which is, when you look at it this way, this helps 2 times more people, the 2 times more people who would apply. And it also helps capture, business and help people who never would have applied in the first place, which for the office is also net new production. It's new patients, not just treating the exact same patients with a new thing. The other thing we do, and it's shifting gears away from all the kind of technical details, but for the staff, and I think this is kind of fun, we have a rewards program, and that program, it's purely something to make this easy and fun for the staff. So if I'm a staff member and I have this tablet, if I do a scan of a patient, I get points because I have a Sunbit account. And as I accumulate points, if someone actually takes the loan, I get a little bit more points. When I sign in the first time, I get points. As I get points, I can redeem those things for, Amazon gift cards, or, Starbucks gift cards, or Venmo payouts. So, it's just a little way to gamify this for the staff and make this something also that, I don't forget that this tablet's sitting behind me. So if a patient is, pausing on treatment, there's just kind of one more thing in the back of my head saying, oh yeah, let me grab this and help them out. So, we have that Sunbit rewards program for the office. I think it helps keep it top of mind and, help more patients and also generate more production. I don't know, have you guys had a good experience with Sunbit rewards?
I have.
I have as well.
I use it, and also you guys double the points at times. I always get a text message or an email that says you have 60 hours or 75 hours and we double the points. So yes, we do utilize it. And then,
Awesome.
I share it with the staff and that type of thing too. So they enjoy it. Yes. It's very, awesome. It is, because I've been told, or at least it's my understanding, even when someone applies and they don't actually go through with it, or there's no success, we still get, credit for that. So
Totally.
Definitely.
Awesome.
And I get a text message right after I do the application, and it says, how many points I have. So, yes, we enjoy it very much.
I think it's wonderful. I love the Sunbit rewards program, and I think that Sunbit does such a great job of communicating, with the patients as well as the staff team, which is so great because they're constantly motivating you with email messages, and the rewards program is just fabulous. I personally am an Amazon person, and that doorbell's ringing constantly. So I very much greatly appreciate the Amazon points.
There,
Love that.
There seems to be a very nice theme here, because it's all about simplicity and ease. It sounds like that's what the process is, you guys.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely, Maria.
It's great. I was going to ask, so have you had, or, how did you actually fold it into your practice operations? Like, do you present it at the chair, when the doctor's going through treatment? I mean, how do you have it in your operations? When do you present Sunbit?
That's a great question. We, in our practice, we send out a lot of email communication as well as text messaging prior to appointments, confirming appointments, making sure medical histories are updated, checking with checks and balances with insurances, and making sure nothing has changed with, insurances, especially looking to see what patients may have outstanding treatment. And it's a great time to introduce Sunbit, whether that's communicating to them with an email link where they can go in directly apply ahead of time. Sometimes we don't have that opportunity with patients because we don't, it's just a quick, yes, everything's good. And then we find out at the appointment that treatment's needed. And then we go in and present with treatment the Sunbit option to every patient. We offer it to every single person. We do mention it as they're coming in the door if we have the time to do that, but sometimes they come in, scooting in at the last minute for their appointment, so we don't get that chance at the door to talk about it. But we do make sure that everybody knows that if they ever need treatment, that Sunbit is an option. If they don't have time to really talk about it in the office, we always send them that information as a follow-up in that email link and give them the link directly to our practice so that they can easily do it from home. But most of our success comes from in the office on the iPad at the appointment during treatment. or prior to treatment, I should say, so that they get approved and continue with treatment that same day.
That's good to know. And I like the fact that you've actually, inserted it into like an email campaign too, for people that have pending treatment, if you will, as that's a great, option there for your patients that have unscheduled treatment. How about you, Christy? Because you have a surgery center, right? I mean, you have tons of patients that come through.
Cases are a little, our cases are a little larger. So one thing that we were reviewing earlier too is that our cases are usually above $10,000 each, and now you guys have just raised the limit to $20,000, and I think you said you can spread it out over 72 months. So that's a big difference for us. And I know another thing is a lot of times we do it in the office, because with our larger cases, they're focusing more on the treatment first and then the financial part of it. So we do it mostly in the office with them, but we run into also, even if the patient can't qualify, they go home and ask a family member, parents, siblings, that type of thing, and they can go right online and apply remotely and do it that way. So that's helpful too, because, when we're dealing with those amounts of monies, not everybody, can handle that. And if you've got someone who needs their, dental care taken care of and they're hurting and they're in pain, then usually family members are stepping in and helping. So they'll go online, they'll look for us as a vendor, get all signed up, then we get an email, oh, they got approved, and then we start the whole process. So it's helpful too that, anyone can apply for it, obviously, for that particular patient. So
thanks for sharing that, Christy.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to add to anything that you guys are saying, because it's great, and I couldn't say it better myself. So I think one thing I'd love to do is I'd love to share one more testimonial from someone else who's not me, who doesn't work for Sunbit, talking about his experience with his businesses using Sunbit and the solution, and then we can just open it up, and I'd love to share a few key takeaways and talk about a few key takeaways that I think we've all hit on throughout the presentation. But
so I'm Darren Boggs. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for Altius Healthcare Management. We were actively soliciting alternative third-party financing options. We found that we couldn't crack the 25% approval ceiling. And so with Sunbit, once we were able to demonstrate that it can deliver approvals in the 85 to 90% range, the confidence came from the staff to be able to offer it, and the patients were more willing to apply because there was a lot less risk on the table. And the result has been tremendous. I mean, if their results have been anything like ours, I mean, what dentist out there wouldn't want 7 times more sales in their practice? There was a particular day, I believe, where we sold $30,000 worth of sales with Sunbit just in one day, and I think it was even before lunch. It was just amazing, how much could be accomplished in a day. And I knew at that moment we were really onto something. Thank you, Sunbit.
sorry, hopefully not too cheesy, but I'm
very
excited.
Okay.
That makes me happy.
Good.
Yeah. I think that the goal here is to give the patient that option and that opportunity to get their care done today.
Yes.
I feel like, with that being said, he said something too about the staff having the confidence. I think the easy steps, not having to go through that, that whole rigmarole of filling out a form, waiting, I don't know how many hours or the next day, if you will. I just taking that anxiety from the patient as it is already there in your chair, having that anxiety, knowing the fact that they've got some treatment that needs to be done. And they're probably, adding things up in their head, and they're probably thinking, how can I afford this? So the fact is that you get the confidence of the patient, you have the confidence of your team members, feeling that they can definitely give the care that needs to be done. I think that's just, I think that's just phenomenal. Once again, I feel like there's just an ease of presenting this, and there's no pressure.
Agreed. I can say the support at Sunbit is really great too. I had an instance where I had a question. I couldn't get my rep on the phone right away. Someone else did help me, and then I sent an email, and then it got taken care of. And I got 3 phone calls back from 3 different people, from my rep, the person who took the initial call, and then someone else. So, whenever I pick up the phone and I need to call, which isn't really very often, to be honest, because it's pretty simple, we get, assistance right away, and they do a great job.
I'm so happy you said that.
Yeah, I can tell you from
It's
experience, they
definitely
really do. I'm not just saying that. They do a good job. So
Thanks
No,
for
I was
saying
just saying, Christy, I couldn't agree more, and Maria as well. We've had the email notification that goes directly to patients right upon approval time. It's so wonderful to watch those patients just all of a sudden feel that ease of, oh, I got approved, and the follow-up is so instant. And so, like you said, seamless and easy, not just from, the staff perspective, but also from the patient perspective. And I think it just speaks volumes for Sunbit. I absolutely love working with your team, and I'm so grateful how much value it's brought to our practice already, and love hearing these success stories, and hoping to take away and bring back to our practice some, implement some of those great tidbits. And I know you're going to give some best practices to our viewers, and would love to share those best practices, and hopefully some folks will start implementing that and join in on Sunbit.
Thanks so much. And I get excited when you talk about it's our customer care team and everyone in-house. One of the things that I think is important to us, we understand that you guys, you eat, sleep, live, breathe your patient's experience and their oral health, but everything kind of A to Z. And for us, your patients, they're our customers. So no matter who you talk to from Sunbit, you're talking to someone in-house at Sunbit. We don't outsource any of it. So if one of your patients calls us with a question about how do I pay off this loan, they're talking to someone usually in our Las Vegas customer care center, which has 24/7 support. So that's for you, for your patients. You're never not going to be able to reach someone, and you're never not going to reach someone who works for the company who cares about your patients, just like as much as we care about our customers, because they're the same thing. So we do care, and hopefully that always shows. But I appreciate you guys saying that, and I'm glad you've had that experience. That the team's unbelievable.
Definitely.
Awesome. I'm happy to share those best practices.
So I'm Derek.
Not to make you watch the same videos over and over again, but rather to share the best practices we just talked about. Before I do that, I don't know if anyone had anything to add, or we can talk about the best practices. I'll kind of, Maria, you're the boss.
I think let's just go ahead and share the best practices and takeaways, and then
Awesome.
We can. If there are any questions, we'll go ahead and take it from there.
Awesome. So I don't think I'm going to share anything that Christine, Rachel, you haven't already touched on. But the first one, for me, I think it's to offer this to everyone. One, because it can increase case acceptance, and two, because you don't know who may be hesitating because of cost. It's not always obvious. So to let everyone know that this exists and just offer it to everyone, if they don't need it, if it's not a need, that they won't take it, but to put it out there and just let them know it's there is going to increase your case acceptance, is going to increase your application. And if you have a patient who's approved for $10,000, even if they don't need it this time, the next time they come in and they have a treatment that's $3,000-$4,000 and is scary, they know that they can use it. So I think that's my first tip. And I think, you both said this is something that's important to you. I think that works in parallel with the next one, which is to mention this early and often, not just when the treatment's presented and when, the bill is scary, because at that point, if the patient's already said no, it's very hard for them to back out of it. But to let them know, when they come in, hey, by the way, as you go through this, we do offer payment plans, or to put it on, your website, which is point 3. And I know,
Yes.
Yeah. And the patient journey starts before they come into the practice. I think we all understand that, the experience. So when they book an appointment, or even before they've scheduled treatment, just letting them know, oh, I have this. And I think I've read that, dental treatment, unfortunately, is the treatment most likely to be skipped due to cost for the dental visit. So, to let someone know that that's not going to be an issue ahead of time is going to increase just your appointments and everything. So, and I know, Christy, you touched on having this on your website and letting people know that they can apply, get them pre-qualified before they come in, especially for a fee-for-service office. Those are my 3 best practices, and I think it's 3 best practices. It sounds like everyone on the panel is already implementing, but hopefully all our offices are.
So we do have
another.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, another positive that can come out of this too is some people, even if they're hesitant about the financial end of it or actually the treatment, they're reassured because we can let them know that this offer stands. I think it's for 28 days, right?
Correct. It's locked in the amount they're approved for 28 days.
So they don't have to worry about, and I do get some people who other financing where they actually get a card in the mail, and I'll get a phone call from them later. They're like, why are you sending me this card? They feel overwhelmed with that. So the fact that it's simple, and it's good for 28 days and they're not getting all this, correspondence in the mail and a card making them feel like they're, it's a credit card or that type of thing. So that's helpful because some people walk out fearful of the actual treatment and, may not commit that day, but they know that it's good for at least a month.
So there's a question here for Christy. You mentioned that other family members can apply for Sunbit for that patient. So that's how fast does that happen? Is it the same thing like if they were in the practice?
I mean, if they were physically there, sure, anyone can apply. But if they're not with them, they can go right online and apply right online.
Okay.
And get an instant approval. Right.
Okay, that's great. Good to know.
Yep.
And then, Robert, how is it hard to sign up for Sunbit as a provider?
As a provider, no, it's very easy. And I'll share my contact information, and I guess I can jump to it. Here's my contact information. You can also just reach out through sunbit.com. But if anyone is interested in signing up, you can text me, you can email me, you can call me, or you can reach out through Sunbit. We'd love to talk to you. What we do is we set up a quick call to run you through the A to Z of getting signed up. And then a week later, if this all looks good, we can have you doing training. And Rachel, Christy, I don't know if you remember the training process, but it's something that we invest in heavily because at the end of the day, the way we set you up is the way you're going to use it. And it indicates, how your patient's experience is going to be. So, we invest in that process. It's an investment in your time as well. But after that, you're up and running. So from the time we have that first call to sign up can be as soon as a week to 2 weeks. So easy process. Just want to have a quick call to align on everything.
That's great. That's nice to know that you also offer the training, because I think as a practice owner, we didn't go to school to train people on this, right? So nice that you offer this service. Also, for a question for Rachel, you mentioned that you tell your patients ahead of time about Sunbit. Do you put that like in a text or email? How do you communicate?
So Sunbit, especially during that training process, and then continuing on after that, they are so great at what I call hand-holding us as, the employees of the practice, and making us feel like we're never alone. If we have a question, they immediately get back to you. And what they do is they've provided like a QR code that people can scan as they're coming into the office.
Oh,
you can cut and paste that into an email. There's also a direct link that's directly linked to your practice with, so that your practice is getting, they're not just going into a general Sunbit website, they're actually going to a link that's directly connected to your practice, so that all the communication is seamless and easy and directly sent to you. And we actually did an email campaign. It was right after we joined Sunbit, which was, like I said, we've only used it for a couple of months now. So it was in February. And it was really cool when we sent the email campaign out with the link. We immediately, all of a sudden, my email started blowing up with all of these, well, so-and-so has been approved and so-and-so has been approved. And it was really cool to see and exciting. We were like, and so we just started looking at their treatment plan and calling them right away to see if we could get them in for treatment that same day. And,
great.
Great.
That's
so
awesome.
It does work. And, you can do that same link in a text message or whatever is easiest for most practices. I think Christy mentioned the website. There's so many avenues that you can utilize those links and everything.
I love the QR code because that makes it so much easier for people, right?
It does.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. And once again, everybody, you got questions, you want to know how to set it up, please get a hold of Robert Nunziato. As you can see here, take a picture of his contact information here. I know that he's out of West Coast. I'm kind of jealous because you're in San Diego, my favorite place. But this concludes our evening. It looks like we don't have any more questions, and I wanted to say again, feel free to reach out to Christy and Rachel if you have any questions about how they've implemented Sunbit, but then go straight to the source, you got Robert as well. I want to thank everybody tonight. This concludes our 10th series of Dinner with the Practice Heroes. We hope you all enjoyed it. I want to say a huge thank you to Robert. Thanks for a great presentation. Rachel and Christy, you guys did such an awesome job in letting us know how it all works in your practice. And I love to hear the testimonials and also your third-party stories. I think those are, they resonate. So have a great evening, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.